Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Loop Hero, where we have a great big magic skull in our inventory. Check this out. The Orb of Immortality. Usually, death is unstable. This orb makes it stably non-existent for a few seconds. You know what? Sure. I'll buy that. That's fine. So we're setting off on a new expedition. Expedition 2 for the first time. It's like the first one, except it's gonna kill you more. But we have potions. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure it will be fine. So I was talking to a friend of mine, and he told me that the Vampire Mansion and the village interact. So we're gonna turn the Vampire Mansion back on. And I guess we ought to turn on the swamp too. Like, we gotta know what it does, right? So what do I think it might interact with? What do we want to leave active so that we can play with the swamp? I guess the chrono crystals are, like, only fine. I'm gonna turn those off to get our mansion back. And then, yes, you're very spooky. We're all very impressed. Like, meadows and rocks seem really important. I would be loath to get rid of those. Treasuries have treasure in them, obviously. Maybe the cemetery? Like, fighting the skeletons is good for loot, but that's probably true of the vampires too. Maybe we're just, like, sort of trading the cemetery function for the Vampire Mansion. So this spawns a mosquito every 3 days, and all non-potion healing effects are actually bad here. So I would assume, since it says all, that if you swamp a vampire, he deals damage to himself with his lifesteal, right? That seems like the strat to me. I guess we'll find out. Why am I pausing? Do we have nothing to do? There are no decisions to make yet. Oh no, I've been gooped. What is this? What did he goop me? I don't know. I have to actually mouse over the enemies to be able to read their abilities. I don't know how I managed to fail to do that. Each attack lowers the target's defense by 0.3 points until the end of the battle. Okay. Artificial life, liquid, does not have a soul. Good to know. It turns out that thing doesn't really matter very much, though, if they only hit you once. Alright, I guess we'll just Grove right in front of us here. I don't actually know if, like, this new boss may have different mechanics, right? So I don't know if it'll be valuable to block around the camp. I guess we'll do it just in case. Then again, actually, maybe I don't want to do it, because we don't know if it happens. You know, I don't want to block it off and then not be able to tell whether or not it would have happened, right? Hopefully that makes some sense. Okay. I gotta tell you, I feel like when we don't pull any early spider cocoons, I feel like we just end up with way fewer total cards. And that is a bummer. I mean, you have to assume we're gonna get just, like, run the heck over by a new boss on the first time through. It may well be worth it to just bail on this before we even see the boss. I'm just trying to build up some resources to build that supply depot, because it does seem to be very important. Alright, lots of Oblivion early. I gotta be honest with you, not actually all that excited about it. So I do want to see about the Mosquito. So when we put down the Vampire Mansion, when we put down the Vampire Mansion, the vampire confers its life-stealing ability onto everything that it's in the fight with, right? And it's going to... You always get vampires in any space that's adjacent to a mansion. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the swamp here. Do we get resources when we walk through a swamp, I wonder? It looks like no. Alright, well, good to know, I suppose. And then we'll put the Vampire Mansion, like, to the west of that, and hopefully that'll give us what we're going for. Boy, the monsters are already showing up in, like, a very serious way, huh? Let's maybe spread the rat wolves out a little bit. But I already kind of feel like we're getting our butt kicked by these monsters. Yeah, I mean, it's an improvement. Do I want to meadow around the rocks? Usually I like to give the peak room so that we can play other rocks and stuff around it. But I am getting a little nervous about the lack of... I guess we can play a road lantern and then put the meadow down next to that. That'll give us something to do. Let's maybe at least limit the number of things here. But yeah, I really need regen. I bet there are some really interesting interactions with the chrono crystals. They must do things to some tiles. We won't leave them off forever. But yeah, I gotta tell you, I feel like the monsters are leveling up a lot faster than we are getting any more dangerous, you know? If I do this, then I put the Vampire Mansion there. That should work. It's a little clumsy. Do we want to put down the spider cocoon near this? I don't necessarily want to feed the spiders a bunch of difficulty. You know what, let's just put it down over here. I guess actually I should have placed it further away so that daytime happened before we reached it though. It's fine to fight a spider, you know, that's just free loot. So heals you by 4% when your life is in danger. The fewer you have, the more you cherish them. I wonder if that's actually saying that you use each one, like the percentage at which you use them changes based on how many you have. Because I actually really like that, mechanically. Okay, here comes our Mosquito. In most games, to, you know, so that they act as bloodsuckers, mosquitoes have lifesteal. I'm assuming that won't be the case here, because it would be, like, counterproductive. Since they will only ever occur in a space with that effect. Oh, explodes after 7 successful hits, dealing 120 damage. That's deeply terrifying. I think we'll do the same thing that we always do with battlefields. And then, like, I want more regen, but I'm definitely worried about placing too many... Like, we want to have... If we get a treasury, we want to be able to start running it right away, right? Also, I'm kind of curious, if we lay down a bunch of swamps, does this, like, do anything? 20% chance to cause bleeding. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna have to learn all kinds of new stuff from all the enemies. Boy, we are pulling a lot of meadows. Ooh. Yeah, I'll take that. That seems fine. So... maybe we do just start playing meadows around the mountain. I'm gonna go ahead and put this swamp down. Okay, so no, it doesn't look like they form anything when you put a bunch of them together. I'm hoping to see some... What was that? I have no idea what that noise was. Great big shield. Yep, seems pretty solid. We got some, like, real weak equipment for quite some time there. Do I want a huge chunk of evasion? That really is a lot. You know what? Yeah. I know that I am traditionally a real offense is the best defense kind of player, but sometimes defense is okay too. We are kind of getting ripped up here, though. Oh, I bet that noise was the noise of me using a potion, because we're down to 2 potions now. And it was a thing we've never heard before, so there's only so many things it could be, right? I might just... You know what? Let's go ahead and bloom up a couple of meadows, because I am, like, in desperate shape here, health-wise. We'll just build these off of things, and if we get a treasury, I guess we'll just have to figure it out. Come on, good stuff. Okay, a level 4 blue sword. That is, in fact, the good stuff. Although that regen, I assume, is going to backfire on us in the long swamp hallway. Colloquially, we call that in the adventuring business a swampador. I know it sounds like pompadour. Listen, we've all complained about it at one time or another. Okay, evasion's really good against the mosquitoes because you do not want them to hit you a bunch of times. They're also quite evasive themselves. They don't really seem to do very much damage, though, aside from that. Hero? Hero? You gotta hit him. Oh boy. Okay, well. You know, just a normal everyday grove. I guess I'm gonna put this one, like, way over here. I think we're suffering really badly here in a way that there's not much of a way to do anything about. If you don't draw any villages, things are just bad for you. Forever. You know? Alright, I appreciate those goblins coming down next to the road lantern. Again, I think we'll just kind of space these out. Yeah, I really wish that we had any villages at all. Also, vampire mansions would be fine, I guess. Okay, so pretty much all healing is percentage based. So continuing to increase max HP, always good. Yeah, you know, let's just go ahead and build it there. Sure, that seems fine. This is... Nope, nope, that's bad. I can do that math. But yeah, like, if you find a village early, not only are you getting, like, a ton more healing over the course of the run, but you're also constantly getting quests, and as such, getting more rewards, and it seems like a real big deal. Do we want to make Bloodpath? I think it seemed like the Blood Clot was dropping good loot. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Also, I guess creating the blood path is worth a little bit of resource on its own. But yeah, see, in a fight like this, the corrosion effect seems much more significant. Alright, so counterattack during evades, sometimes that does seem pretty good. After receiving this effect, and after every loop, the hero receives a bar of phantom protection that equals 65% of max HP. Huh. That's interesting. So at the beginning of each loop, I don't know if I think that's good or not. But if we want to keep focusing on evasion, Somersault is obviously pretty powerful. Unfortunately, there's only so much you can do about this, right? Like, you kind of have to hope that the cards just come up for you. Alright, Vampire Mansion. So, let's go, like, Vampire Mansion. If I put it here, I'm not exactly sure how the, my friend just told me that there is an interaction. I don't know if the Vampire Mansion has to be orthogonally adjacent to the village or not. So I'm going to put this here, and we'll see about a village there if we can draw one. We'll see if that triggers whatever it is. And then this treasury, I might just put it right here and start building a meadow off of that. Put down more mountains up here, but I might actually use rocks over here to just sort of fluff things up. I think that's reasonable. So now it's good for us to have either meadows or rocks in those corner locations. Yeah, boy, I sure could use some more sources of healing. Villages would be lovely. You know, I wasn't really paying a huge amount of attention in the sense that, like, I wasn't counting it up or anything. And yeah, that sound is absolutely potion use. But I wonder how much actual healing we were getting out of those chrono crystals. Like, I don't have a good sense of how many days pass in an average loop run. It may well be the case that those chrono crystals were actually providing, like, huge benefit and we should not have turned them off. I kind of want to have this active over here for the goblins. Alright, come on, show me good cards. Also, you know, equipment or whatever, but mostly cards. Alright, well that's gotta be an upgrade. Sure is. Regen per second, definitely still worth it. Evasion down, I don't love that. The vampirism's nice. I forgot to look up exactly how defense works, so we're still doing some guesswork on that one. I gotta be honest with you though, if we don't start putting together a pretty impressive amount of healing pretty soon, I don't think we're gonna survive to see the boss. Okay, a village. Good news. And then another vampire mansion. So I guess we'll just move through and see if anything has changed, and if not, then we can play this vampire mansion directly adjacent and see if that does anything. Gets the prediction effect every 3 seconds, which allows it to ignore incoming damage once. Oh, wow. Yeah, that definitely is definitely going to make fighting them a lot more annoying. Do I want this over the regen? The base damage is higher enough that I think that alone makes the difference. Okay, well, it doesn't seem like there was any change. And yeah, when things hit us, they... Oh, God. Swarm of bats. Everyone who doesn't have the repellent squeak ability gets ringing in the ears. Okay. So he will always summon bats when his health drops. Okay. But yeah, they are definitely taking damage from their lifesteal. As am I, sadly. Yep. Well... It is less total evasion, and we do care about the evasion quite a lot. But, like, yeah, the attack speed and everything, that's gotta be right. That's gotta be right. Speaking of attack speed, wow. I think I like that better than 9 extra magic damage. There's no tooltip here, so I don't actually know what the magic damage gives us. My assumption with the magic damage thing is that it is... it's extra damage dealt on our attacks that probably ignores the armor defense, but there's a little bit of guesswork in there. Do we wanna play another swamp? I don't know that I'm getting anything particularly interesting from the swamp. I guess one thing that's a little hard to tell is if particular enemies tend to drop certain kinds of loot. You know, there's enough randomness and noise in the drops that it's not easy to just, like, observe that. Where do I want to put this treasury? Where do I think I will actually build around it? You know, this is not a bad spot, actually, because I think we do want to, like, get a road lantern up here, and... do I also want to Vampire Mansion and then, like, swamp the tile right in front of the goblins? Alright, perhaps this is foolish. Oh! Goblin Lookout. Sadly, even swamps aren't enough to get rid of goblins. They can get used to anything. Okay. So playing swamp adjacent to the thing adds a goblin archer to battles on adjacent tiles. That may have turned out to be a really bad idea. I guess we'll find out. Also, just a lot of sound effects now. Tons of things always happen. Alright, play a village right in front of the Vampire Mansion? Okay, yes, that did it. It is a ransacked village. The farmers couldn't fight off a hungry vampire. They could still fight you off, though. But I can fight a hungry vampire. That doesn't make sense. Spawns up to 4 ghouls once per loop. Transformed into something useful after 3 loops. Okay, that's cool. That's a neat thing. So let's go ahead and... I guess it makes more sense to do the mountain there and the rock there so that we can get more stuff around the mountain. And then... 14 to 22... Boy, that attack speed. That's a lot of attack speed. Yeah, we'll just leave it. We've really, like, densely packed this area. So the Goblin Archer over here takes part in battles on adjacent tiles. He does less damage when he's in the first... So I assume after we kill the enemies, he'll be in the first row. Every creature's attack increases its damage by... Okay. It is quote-unquote learning over the course of the battle. Yeah, this is way harder. We are going to get totally wrecked. So no, that didn't even include the Goblin Archer in the battle. And yeah, I'm definitely dead here. Well, we're learning things. So, how close are we to the supply depot? We need one more wood. We need a ton more metal. Metal is tough. And that, again, is probably just resources being, weapons and stuff being turned into resources. And then also, whatever that is, food supply. All empty tiles around the farm are transformed into gardens. After an expedition gives you one ration for every completed loop. Is this... Okay, the ration is the thing that turns into the food supply. You can build something over the garden. Does that make it not functional as a garden anymore? And also unlocks the ability to craft food. Yeah, I think we're not doing this. We're not doing this until we have our supply depot. So I guess let's just get back out there. So what we really need to do is loot a lot of gear. I may want to change my deck a little bit. Am I allowed to go back and... Yeah, it looks like we're allowed to just do the first chapter if we want to, but I don't... Let's not do it that way. So the swamp seems like a real nightmare. Again, I would like to note that we drew really hostile, aggressive cards there. No villages until we were way deep in, but lots of enemy stuff. Not even a lot of blood groves. I think I do want to turn the chrono crystals back on, though. So what do we drop for them? Kind of want to leave the swamps active because I want to observe the goblin swamp interaction at least one more time. So, like, what would I drop? It's hard to know. Like, I like the spider cocoons. If you can get spider cocoons early, I feel like you just get so many more cards. So they're just spawning so many more things constantly. You know what? The blood grove's not actually that important, I don't think. Let's try this. It's a positive card, but it doesn't do that much for us. And we haven't observed any like really interesting interactions with it yet. Alright, may as well get a grove established early so we can start putting together wood. So if we're just trying to farm metal, then survival is by far the most important thing. We don't even need necessarily to be able to spawn or fight the boss. We just need the loop to go on. We need the run to go on for a considerable amount of time, and then we need to bail out instead of dying. I wish that there was a counter for the days. There isn't, right? Yeah, like we have an indicator of day progress, but yeah, nowhere on this UI does it tell us how many days we've been in the current run. That would be a nice thing to be able to just like look at near the end of a run to get a sense of how valuable per day effects are. Okay, so where are we going to set up our chrono crystals? Where is the chrono crystal part of the map? I guess let's do it up here. Okay, also there's an HP per day thing down here. I didn't need to be trying to observe this. So yeah, this is hard confirmation the chrono crystals do double the meadows. You know, it's habit. Most video games do not tell you what is going on nearly well enough, and so I'm very used to just trying to like observe rates of change as closely as I can and draw my own conclusions. That seems lovely. I do wish... I saw a thing on the internet that apparently you can edit an INI file and increase the game speed more, but I really do feel like there should just be more settable speeds, or like this speed should be 1x and you should be able to go twice this fast. Because so far, every time I've seen someone playing this or talked to someone while playing this, they're like, oh yeah, I definitely always leave it on 2 and I wish it was faster. I wonder what kind of playtest feedback they had that made that seem like the wrong play. Because I assume it's like this for a reason. They probably know more about it than I do. Okay, there we go. Early spider cocoon. Let's get... If we put this here, there should be time for a day to happen before it goes off, right? Or there should be time for a day to happen so that it goes off before we get to it. Rather, is the way that a person might express that idea. I probably shouldn't just be equipping like tons of... We want our inventory to actually fill so things start sharding, right? But also, we do have to survive. Okay. I'm going to hold off on the swamp. We're going to hold off on the swamp until we create a goblin thing, and we're going to intentionally play it near the goblin camp, because I want to observe that archer a little bit more. It seems like it might be the case that the goblin camp thing is purely negative, but we're going to verify. Wow, this one rat wolf is really taking me apart. Alright, more rock. I guess a road lantern here affects both those tiles, although it's really hard for the road lantern to do much to the grove since the rat wolves just, like, spread out. Yeah, I guess I'm not going to worry about that too much. For the moment, let's hold off on playing anything else. Is this the thing I want to swap in? Nah, probably not. Okay, we definitely play the grove right away, though. So we only need 1 normal wood. Just some shapeless mass. A flexible image of passive plasticity which can become an Orb of Unity. Is that a thing that we want? Is an Orb of Unity a thing I care about? Alright, I'm gonna put this here. You know, I was thinking we're just gonna build rocks into it and that'll help, but maybe I should have put it over, like, well... I guess there's not really a spot over here that we could have put it if we're intending to build the crystals out this way. But building into it with the crystals obviously has some significant value. Okay, so we get some scrap metal, right? Because the treasury just gives you random loot, right? Yeah, a random resource. So, if what you're after is resources, I guess the most important thing is treasuries. Always treasuries. I really wish you could play stuff during combat. As the loops go on, you spend more and more time in combat. And it's annoying that it's harder and harder to place cards, because you're just moving from combat to combat so quickly. It's not a big problem, because you can just, like, you can preset a pause for the end of combat, but, like, what if it wasn't a problem at all? Wouldn't that be neat? I do feel like we're seeing enemies evade considerably more than we used to. That's fine. Also, the abilities really are, like, they're adding a lot of difficulty. Okay, that was both of my remaining potions. We may die here. Okay, that helps. A little bit. That probably also helps. Yeah, we're gonna pause coming out of this because we may need to oblivion some monsters off the road in order to not die. Sadly, that did not gain us any current health at all. So there's a single rat wolf in the way, and we have 50 HP. I may just Oblivion that. The thing is, then we're going to hit daylight, and it's not even really going to heal us that much. Yeah, I'm going to try to get some more resources before we have to bail on this, though. Placing a road lantern by itself doesn't do anything, right? So this isn't one of the things that just gives you resources on placement. Okay. Village right in front of me, because we need it desperately. Road lantern. And maybe this is not a good time to put down the swamp. We'll maybe give that a second. Honestly, if we complete this treasury, I may just bail out immediately after that. So it's gonna spawn once a day. Yeah, this is just it's very concerning. We pulled remarkably little healing. Like, we didn't really get a lot of vampirism or HP regen. Yeah, it's just... This quest is very hard. Alright, we're basically just going to race back out there and do exactly that thing again. And if we get run off like that one more time, we might actually try going back to the first quest. This is a little frustrating, though. I do feel like we're kind of getting beaten by bad luck a lot here because we are not getting any things that replenish our health until really late. And I assume there's some kind of rarity going on the cards. Maybe we want to lower the number of types of cards that we have even more. Just not play with as many types as we are entitled to. Vampirism versus counter. Probably the vampirism. Although I guess actually, when we're this low on everything, they're both like pretty marginal. Vampirism being percentage-based makes it pretty bad when you have no weapon in your hands. Definitely don't want to open up a vampire mansion this early, although, like, maybe... If we cause vampire fights right here... Alright, I'm gonna try this. And I guess... Do I want that grove there, though? Because then we're going to have to fight rat wolves with the vampires. Yeah, whatever. I'm trying it. So did that do anything? I don't think that transformed the grove. We had groves adjacent to swamps before, actually. No, we know that doesn't change anything. Yeah, we'll put another grove down a little bit forward. Then just some rocks and some rocks. And a road lantern. Sure, there can be enemies, but, like, not too many. I do not like the fact that our hero changes direction, or he changes targets. Wish that if he started fighting the vampire, he would finish fighting the vampire. We should probably do this. We're about to heal for 30%, so let's make sure that that's a 30% of as high a number as possible. But yeah, if we're not even surviving to fill our inventory, it's going to be pretty hard to get metal, I imagine. A whole orb of crafts. One entire orb of crafts. Maybe we should just start playing the meadows. I don't really... And we're not doing too terribly on health right now. But obviously I would like to wring as much value out of these as possible. Uh-oh. The hero did not start by attacking the mosquito. Okay, interesting. Attack, counter, evasion, pretty exciting. Yeah, that's good stuff. And here's our treasury. And then we may as well establish these meadows because we know that we will be putting rocks down here. No reason not to start getting the heals as quickly as possible. And then hopefully we'll get to play down some chrono crystals around there. I do kind of want to just get this treasury complete because I'm worried that it won't happen. I'm gonna let the loop run at least one more time, though. We probably don't need the explosion of loot just yet. Hopefully. I do feel like this run's already going a little bit better, but man, I wish I could get some early villages. I feel like that would really help. Alright, even though this is going to slow down our rate of metal acquisition, 4 points of defense might be really important. Definitely do this immediately. That seems very good. And then, like, we could just start building meadows along... I guess let's build meadows along this side of this. Because I do kind of feel like we need to get the healing coming in. I don't think we can wait for optimal placement. Although maybe I should have held on to one so that I could just set off the treasury whenever I want. Do I think I'm going to build along the road here? Well, we know we're going to want to build the rocks out. Yeah, I'll put that down. That's fine. This should be fine, right? The road lantern's right there. Definitely do this stuff. Let's put down a meadow. Spider cocoon right there seems fine. And I'm a little reluctant to put down more swamps. They're like actually pretty scary. But we do want to observe this thing a little bit more closely. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. We do get resources just for placing that, so hopefully it'll be worthwhile. I gotta say, I really appreciate the game's commitment to the lo-fi sound aesthetic. I think that's really nice. Do I want to put this here such that the only way to benefit from the Vampire Mansion would be to have a second Vampire Mansion right next to it? I'm gonna put this here, and if we get a second Vampire Mansion, we'll put it over there. Go ahead and do that. Hooray, even more healing. Need it desperately. Oh, right. Equipment. I didn't even look at the equipment. So counter... These are the same shield, and I do like them. Damage to all and attack speed. Honestly, I wonder if the level 1 ring is actually better. We're doing okay damage now, so the vampirism... And it is 100% of our vampirism. We have no regen over time. We still have day healing, and of course the healing tiles. Alright, I'm going to put this on, and probably also spend my skill point. So, plus 1.5 damage for every potion used. I'm assuming that this, because this does not have a duration listed, I'm assuming this is for the entire rest of the map. Let's hope. You know what? That probably should have been one of these two spaces, actually. So hopefully we're going to start seeing equipment overflow here soon. I didn't even really look at this. I just kind of assumed that the attack speed and everything would make this a better play, but actually this is probably... I should probably swap this in. Especially since we will still have a significant amount of counter. It really is a lot better base damage. Alright. Maybe try to keep the monsters under control at least. And then, like, do I even want to play... I probably want to play the spiders. Do we... yeah. Spider Alley. Why not? Why not just put down a ton of things that make this part of the map nearly impassable? Why not do that? Alright, we're gonna try this. I'm really curious to see what happens when they, when the 3 loops occur. If we can actually get there. So we finally got Chrono Crystals. Now at this point we've put up groves. So I guess this is a little scarier. That's fine. There's a road lantern there. There's only so many enemies that can spawn. Oh, put it down next to the meadow though. Obviously. I think we might be able to hold off on the treasury for one more loop. I'm going to put this up. We're certainly doing better this time. Okay, that was a pretty good pull. Correct my earlier mistake. And then I'm going to put down another village right after these fights. So this village no longer heals me, right? Yeah, that's a problem. I guess we should road lantern down here. Just try to keep things a little bit under control. Maybe slightly fewer ghouls. I like the fact that this is 4, so that a road lantern is immediately useful next to it. That's a nice little bit of, like, making your cards feel better. Now we can escape when we're not at the campfire. And we still do get to keep more resources than we do if we die. It's not necessarily the case that we have to wait. So we definitely used a potion there. There is no obvious indicator for how many times our perk is fired. That's a shame. It really should be. Okay, battlefield, yeah, just somewhere after the campfire. And then we got so many rocks. I'll go ahead and put this down here, we'll surround it with stuff. And I'm going to save these 2 rocks. These are the rocks I'm going to use to complete the 2 treasuries. We'll put a meadow there. We're going to complete those as soon as we hit loop 5. Provided, of course, that I am not being over-optimistic. That we do, in fact, survive that loop. Do I want to limit this even more? Maybe right here's not the place, but maybe, yeah, maybe something like this? Yeah, let's be really aggressive with that, because it's a scary area. Now, if I do this, we're going to get multiple tiles of blood path, right? I probably don't want that. So I guess this is, yeah, that's a sensible place to do that. A little blood path. Listen, an adventurer can have a little blood path as a treat. You just go add to the thing, because I need HP. So I think our listed damage stat did increase when the potion went off. The bonus is just folded in here, but I wish it was a little bit more, like, obvious and explicit. So if we do this, and then we should place something by it. We we still have mountain rock to finish the treasuries with. But I do want that to bloom because we desperately need the HP. Well, we're getting lots of metal now. Unfortunately, we need... What did we need? Like 6 stable metal or something? It was quite a lot. Living fabric. A whole orb of evolution. What have we been getting? I'm not paying close enough attention to exactly what materials the enemies are dropping to know which ones are valuable. At least that's information I can pick up afterward from like going back and watching the video. So... do I want to place any of this stuff now? I guess we want to go ahead and commit the mountain, because we, again, have enough rocks to finish the treasuries off. And I probably do just want to throw down the village here. Desperate for health. Yeah. Okay, very helpful. So we got these ghouls. Do they have abilities? Devours a random corpse, restoring HP. Okay. Undead, but has a soul. Ooh. Hold on a second. That seems like a big upgrade. Oh my god, 12 evasion. That's all of our counter lost. And given how much raw damage we're starting to have on account of the potion usage and stuff, counter is really valuable. But also, not getting hit. Not getting hit's pretty valuable. So do we have any other big upgrades we want to make? 4% attack speed versus 20% counter, that's probably one. And then I was gonna... Sorry, we gotta finish these. Oh, I'm popping cards here. I should probably not be doing that, given that we don't know if that's actually important. So we're on 3 stable metal. We probably want to just run if we make it back to the campfire, because we got to take home a lot of metal, right? That's very important. But unfortunately, we don't really have the ability to... Yeah, it's going to be a little ugly getting back there, especially with this goblin having become a quest boss. Alright, well, let's continue to pump up our healing. I guess in theory it would be a good idea to hold a bunch of meadows and mountains and stuff in case we draw a treasury so we can try to complete it quickly. I can't swamp this vampire mansion because I built it in a place where there's too much other stuff going on. We should probably put down the grove. But maybe... Yeah, it's fine to put it right there. And I might hold off on the spider cocoon, actually. Alright, I'm gonna hold some stuff in the hopes of pulling a treasury. Is any of this worth considering? Defense, vampirism. It's quite a lot of vampirism. Regen per second is probably a little bit less dangerous in terms of the swamps, because the healing is smaller and spread out over a longer time. So you get less healing spike nonsense going on during the swamp portion of the route. We are losing 6% evasion if we do that. I am gonna do it. Oh no, a ghost. Okay. Well, it did happen. So I think I'm just going to lay it out here and we're going to... We can almost finish it right now. We're so close. My kingdom for a road beacon. Yeah, okay, so we just gotta pull one more placeable card. And yeah, if we make it to the end of this loop, or one more non-road placeable card. If we make it to the end of this loop, we're out of here. And we may end up getting out of here before that, even. Okay. So we can wait until we're past this area, and then play Vampire Mansion and Spider Cocoon just to turn on these. I am gonna Road Lantern this. And I'm gonna seriously consider just obliviating that one. Also, rocks and stuff. I guess we can bloom this way, that's fine. I would really, really, really like to make it back home. So we're running out of room for rocks over here, and we've already surrounded the mountain peak, so we may as well start building a new block over here where we can get more adjacency. We are close to another level up, which could be really good, potentially. Should I do it? I'm gonna do it. I know this hasn't really given us the opportunity to interact with the Goblin Archer, but I don't think this is the time. Okay, this guy's got a little flag now. Encouragement. He's being encouraged. Ah, attack speed. I appreciate that the leaders are so encouraging to their little friends. Ooh, okay. Well, we don't have a lot of evasion, so Somersault doesn't seem great here. Blade of Dawn is pretty tough to justify, though. And supplies doesn't matter because we are totally running away next time we hit the campfire anyway. I think we're going to take Blade of Dawn. I don't know, that doesn't seem great. Oh, we should definitely village just to set up some... Here, does that delete those monsters? It totally did. Just to set up some additional healing, and also turn this on before I forget. And I'm gonna hope very much to not have to run before that. Ooh. What if even more village? And then, I don't know, this can just kind of go anywhere. Okay, we might make it. I'm not happy to see a quest monster between us and the campfire. Boy, I'm talking all that noise about we might make it, and then immediately that happens. May as well get one extra wood. Hey, that was pretty alright. I don't know if I actually think that's good or not, but it certainly felt okay there. Oh, please let me survive to get out of here. Okay, that explosion really, really worked out in our favor. That was nice. Okay, we just have one more guy to fight and we get a village heal. Please don't die. Please don't die here. Oh my god. Oh, the health bar is so tiny. It's so tiny. So hold on. That guy just dropped... Okay. The living fabric is coming from the bandits. That's interesting. Yeah, let's leave. This is all of the metal we need. Another success. You've returned and we still remember you. Unbelievable. Yeah, it's good to be back, but I'd hardly call it a success. My old memories of the world are gone. The path is empty again, and there's only darkness everywhere I look. Interesting. So, technically you remember that there are things you've forgotten. We should find a way to use that. Let's talk about something more positive. We managed to tidy the place up. I think it's time for the next step. Then what did you have in mind? Expanding the camp. We have all sorts of craftsmen, from cooks to an alchemist, but, you know, they need a place to work. But we can't use the materials from around here. You turn away from it for a second from a branch or a stone you've just found, and it's gone. I'm afraid only you can solve this problem. The materials that survived your trip always look suitable for building. Am I now getting a tutorial about how to build stuff? Seems a little late. But these are just stones and splinters. How can you build something with them? That's... okay. That is what you build stuff out of. Curious, eh? I noticed it with the fire you've made. The things you obtain somehow infect everything similar with stability. Only in small amounts, but it's still something. Even a small branch is enough to make a wooden wall exist without constant supervision. Okay, so I'm right about this, right? Yes, we totally have all of the things we need. The supply feature seems valuable. Unlocks the ability to craft items if you have the necessary buildings. The necessary buildings. I guess? Yeah, just keep connecting stuff. Good news, we've come up with a list of some things we need. I wouldn't say they're all absolutely necessary, but they would make our lives a bit better. We can't keep eating from the ground, while the food is also, the ground. And then we go to sleep on the same, ground. I'm exaggerating, of course. I just want you to get the idea. If you stumble upon a good piece of furniture, or like an instrument, or anything else of use, remember the place and take a wagon there, and we'll see that your findings go to the right person. Okay, so what is this supply mechanic? Sort items in inventory by the... Okay, so we have another persistent inventory now. And a lot of sorting buttons that will probably be a lot more useful, once we actually have some things. So, tell me about the other buildings we've now seen. A hovel made of sticks and mud houses only one person. Every resident brings you closer to victory. Build more houses. You can give residents furniture or food to store in their huts. The warehouse increases the camp's item limit. The Intel Center is all the information you find about the world. All the information you find about the world, resources, or monsters is logged and stored here. I should probably trust that they're gonna, make their own sentences. Unlocks the Encyclopedia. Unlocks deserts and sand dunes. Unlocks the ability to add gold cards to the deck. Okay. That sounds important. What does the cemetery do? Passing through the cemetery on expeditions will now get you memory fragments. Oh, right, the cemetery can give us a resurrection ability. I think we can probably make this happen. That's just a single medal. And, the Intel Center seems really important. That sounds like maybe the next thing we should build. But we may as well put the cemetery together, given that we're, right on top of what it costs. And it actually doesn't cost that much stuff that the Intel Center will use. So the Intel Center is made out of, just some metamorphosis. It's important to jam that in there. And then a whole lot of food and metal and some wood. Wood seems to not really be a problem. We seem to accumulate that very quickly. Yeah, alright, you know what? We're not going to do a full run. I am actually just going to... We're going to go into a run, and we're just going to stay in there long enough to get a single medal, and then we're going to come back. Right, I have new cards. Ruins. Gives a random basic resource upon visit. Spawns a Scorch Worm every 2 days. Well, we gotta see what's up with the Scorch Worm. I'm gonna turn off the grove for the moment. We're not exactly desperate for wood. Alright, let's get in there. I want to meet the Scorch Worm. Scorch Worm sounds cool. So this right here is especially the part that I think it would be really nice to be able to speed up. Okay, ruins right away. Well, that seems handy. Oh good, stone. Okay, early chrono crystals is interesting. Let's put this down here. Ideally you'd build a cross of mountains in the middle of the rocks, right? Although I guess once it's turned into a peak, ideally you would build the peak entirely out of a 3x3 of just rocks, and you would surround it with mountains for optimal payout. Right? Because the peak stats don't change based on what it's made of, I don't think. Hopefully we can quickly get a treasury or two going here. 9% evasion is almost certainly more survivability than 2 defense, right? I wonder if we get this encyclopedia, I wonder if it will tell us what the stats do. I wonder, how encyclopedia is it? It does seem like a thing I would very much like to have. So see, this says +5 for each adjacent rock or mountain. I don't actually know if the big peak counts as a mountain for that purpose. It's an interesting question. I'm gonna try to build it entirely out of normal rocks, and let's see what happens. This is a fine time for experimentation, right? Because we don't necessarily need this run to go long or anything. Alright, well, I mean, it's something, I guess. That was a pretty lame quest, though. Okay, that's a little bit more compelling. Given that the next thing we were going to come up against was the chest, I probably shouldn't have equipped anything until after we fought it. Okay, here comes our Scorch Worm. Let's have a look at this guy. Okay, that's neat. Takes part in battles on adjacent tiles as the third row. Has a 40% chance to flee instead of being killed. Interesting. And he dropped more ruins. I mean, see no reason not to just throw him down right here. Okay, that was metal. You know what? I have chrono crystals in my hand. I don't need to be holding on to these meadows. Where do we want to do this? I guess right here is fine. Yeah, I was just thinking in terms of treasury buffs, but that's not necessary. Wow. That's a lot of food. This is definitely a pretty significant upgrade. Yeah, alright. To some degree, obviously, I want to just, like, minimize the amount of stuff we're actually equipping. To burn as many things as possible. But probably it's good to have something in the shield slot. Oh, I guess don't put those down adjacent to each other because then the Scorch Worms in one will be able to help the fight in the other. Yeah, that's a good point, me. Yeah, those are the same reward. So, okay, now I'm going to put a mountain down adjacent to that, and if this does count as a mountain for that purpose, we should gain 10 HP, right? Because the peak will gain 5 from the mountain, and the mountain will gain 5 from the peak? Yes, and that totally did work. Okay, so we do want to use our first 9 rocks to build a peak, because otherwise you just have, you know, weak rock stuff, and then you're not getting maximum value out of your mountains. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Do we want to... Yeah, I guess this will definitely affect the goblin camp. That seems like an okay spot for that. Yeah, this was not the smartest thing I've ever done. That guy definitely fled. So I'm assuming he just stays on the tile. Yeah, okay. And participates in the next battle, because I put the tiles next to each other. Well... Oh, I discovered a blacksmith's hammer. Okay. Interesting. This is just good. Yeah, okay. This tool is unmatched in making lots of sparks. A loyal companion to all blacksmiths, and it's just giving us +1 defense for now. Then we'll take it back to camp and it will do something, presumably. Well, I know I keep saying we want to try to, like, not be equipping new stuff all the time, but boy, we sure are getting a lot of equipment that I think matters. In this case, I'm actually going to hold off, because the 11% evasion on our current shield. So the same defense, attack speed and evasion over over magic damage and vampirism. The attack speed's probably more offense than that magic damage is. Maybe? Ooh. I guess there's no sense in playing this right now since we don't have any other cards we want to play in our hand anyway. Oh, this is going terribly. Yeah, the combination of that effect and their natural evade chance is actually really annoying. Oh, well, that's got to be an upgrade worth making. This is our quest target? Yeah, alright. Slimes with a huge amount of bonus HP are actually a little bit dangerous. That corrosion effect. Alright, do I want to just put the treasury down here? I guess is the question. And we start building around it now? Yeah, I think that makes sense. But I guess I should leave this space for rocks and stuff. Alright, we're about to start burning equipment, so things are gonna get a little bit better. Do I want a road lantern? I probably do want a road lantern here, right? Like, let's not let the Scorch Worms build up too much. Also, I have definitely already let the Scorch Worms build up too much. That is definitely a thing that has happened. Are you an upgrade? Honestly, probably not. So we got our one medal. Do I think we're in a good position to just keep... We should at least finish off the treasury, right? Yeah, these guys could get out of control if you do not road lantern your ruins. And you definitely want to put one space between them, and then the road lantern adjacent to that space. Should we do one more loop? Oh, I should definitely... Hold on. We should definitely do this. Defense increases by 1. Every counterattack restores HP or stun people. We don't... I mean, we have 14 counter. That's not... It's not so bad. Again, this is... Like, it's really hard to know what the value of this is currently. That is pretty good. That was a pretty good draw. Also, Blooming Meadows is a good idea. Yeah, let's do one more loop because I want to try to finish the treasury, and then we'll bail out of here. All right, lots more metal. We should definitely equip that. Spider Cocoon, sadly, is not very helpful. Oh, this is gonna suck. If we get an Oblivion, I am definitely sending one of these ruins to the memory hole. 417 with a lot more evasion. Yeah, okay. We have lots of evasion and counter. This would be like a really nice time, actually, for us to have that thing that lets you counterattack when you evade. We're doing okay, though. Maybe we should stick around even longer? I mean, maybe I'm potentially getting myself into trouble doing that. I don't want to lose a ton of counter. Yeah, I'm gonna not equip that. I have feelings about counterattacking. We are not getting much in the way of cards this round, though, huh? Alright, we may well have to make another loop at this rate. Come on, little goblins, surrender your cards to me. Well, I mean, I guess that's also good. I mean, we do just need a lot of metal in total. It is a good idea to build up the metal supply. Okay, that is lovely. Alright, we're doing one more. We're doing one more because we didn't finish our treasury off. God, it is very remarkable how few... that's a shame. It's really remarkable how few cards we've gotten here. Is that worth an equip? More counter is pretty good. Yeah, alright. A lot of the healing in the game looks very, very small, but it really is all about these like little incremental amounts that add up over time. I mean, that's probably worth an equip, right? Yeah. Okay, the Scorch Worms are not too bad as long as you're smart about not letting them attack into adjacent battles. Nope, neither one of those are cards that we can play by the treasury. That's very inconvenient. Okay, lovely. If we get the treasury before we hit the campfire, absolutely, we'll just bail out here. I know that we're looking strong, but like, I do not want to overcommit. Village here and village there. Right before and right after the goblins. Yeah, that seems okay. Yeah, we'd probably be fine going one more, although actually this battle is making me think that maybe getting out of here is, in fact, totally critical. Yeah, those goblins, they get a lot of damage done very quickly. But especially if your armor's screwed up from fighting a slime, it gets, like, very ugly. Okay, that doesn't do anything. I couldn't remember if putting down chrono crystals was one of those things that gives you a resource immediately. Because my memory is bad. It's a real bad one. Alright, let's get the hell out of here. The meadow definitely does give you stuff immediately, so we do need to play these. And we should play them in such a way that they bloom. It's fine to do this, though. Alright, is she the last? I think she's the last one. I'm taking... Shieldmaster. It's very unlikely to matter. Okay, yeah, absolutely get out of here. I mean, that was pretty successful, resource-wise. So, let's build ourselves a cemetery. Hold on, before I do this. It can't be destroyed, but its inhabitants will gladly move to better housing. So actually, connecting these buildings doesn't seem to be doing anything. We don't need to be doing that, I think. That said, I'm still going to. So this makes it worthwhile to put the cemetery back in our deck. Okay, you're welcome, friend. It's a nice place. Calm. There are some people, but quiet ones. They look a bit grim, but they can tell you many things, if you can listen. Okay. Good. So that shows us the crypt. Unlocks a new class, Necromancer. Unlocks the Ancestral Crypt Golden card, but only, yeah, you can only do golden cards if your Intel Center is built. I mean, it's gonna be very hard for me not to want to get the Necromancer. I think we're taking a little detour. The Intel Center sounds very important and everything. I think we're taking a little detour to the crypt. So, lots of stone, 6 more metal. Metal is always going to be our stumbling block, I guess. You need a lot of it. And what is this? An Orb of Expansion. I don't even know how we got this. Apparently they're quite rare, because we only have 1 of them. Is it... That's the Orb of Evolution. That's the Orb of Crafts. The Metamorphosis orbs are not that rare. Yeah, the orb stuff, I don't know. Once we have the Intel Center, hopefully the encyclopedia will help clarify some things for us. I'm actually really interested in this. And I think it's a really neat idea to make the encyclopedia a thing you actually have to build toward. Like, that's really interesting. I'm surprised that I've not seen that in another game before now. Anyway. That is probably where we have to call it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. We are out of time. Usually I don't post videos on the weekend, but since this got started kind of late in the week, I'll go ahead. When you come back next time, tomorrow, there is absolutely going to be more video here, and we are 100% focused on becoming a Necromancer, which is true in every single video game where they let me do that. And we'll see you then.